Hi, thanks for stopping by. No doubt you can kind of guess what the channel's about, Bride Girl. This is my first video for the new channel, and today I wanted to share with you my tips and ideas of sort of what are the next steps that you should take towards getting ready for your wedding. Now, I'm still in the really early stages of this, having only got engaged a couple of weeks ago. But already my brain is kind of buzzing with ideas, and I just wanted to put together sort of a little list of the things that I need to work through with my fiance. And if you're really excited and you've just got engaged and you want to sort of plow on and start getting on with putting ideas together, then hopefully this is going to help you. So step one, which is what I've done, is to buy a wedding journal or a wedding planner. There are quite a lot online. I did quite a fair amount of research. Some looked a lot more detailed than others, and I really wanted a detailed one. I also wanted one where I could, tear things out of magazines and ideas I had and keep it in there. So it was sort of also a scrapbook for me. So I decided on a particular one, which I'm going to do a review of in one of my future videos. I'll put the link to it below. I can't remember the exact name of it, but I found it online, and I'll do a review and let you know my thoughts on whether it's actually worth purchasing. Number two would be start a Pinterest account. If you're not familiar with Pinterest, it's this amazing website. It's essentially like an enormous mood board where you can, as it suggests in the name, pin images that you like the look of, and you can create those onto different boards. And so I think I've got a wedding dress one, general wedding one, like table decorations, like reception decorations, and bridesmaids. So go on there and you'll get loads of inspiration for colours and themes, creative ways of doing things yourself, crafty things. It's absolutely amazing, and hopefully that will help you narrow down the kind of feel and theme you want to go for with your wedding. Now, my tip number three, which I suppose is perhaps reinforcing tip number two, is to create a mood board at home. I've recently bought some large black and white card, and even prior to having my Pinterest account, I was already tearing things out of magazines and papers and taking pictures of things that I saw that I thought would, were really inspiring and give me ideas for how what I wanted the wedding to look like. So also have one of those at home, and I think what I'm going to eventually do is present my ideas to my fiance on one of these mood boards, kind of reduce all the images and just come up with a couple, which are what the flowers are going to be like. Obviously none of the dress, because he's not going to see that, it's a surprise. But also just general colours and ideas for reception and table decorations and stuff like that. So I will show you mine later down the line. At the moment it's just a little pile of ripped out pieces from magazines and papers, but eventually I'm sure it will transform itself into a beautiful mood board. Okay, so number four, this is totally optional, but we are going to do this, and that is to set a date for your engagement drinks. We really wanted to have engagement drinks because we wanted to bring all our friends and family together. It's currently November now, it's currently December now, it's early December. We got engaged in late November, and the run up to Christmas is so manic with work parties and family commitments that there was no way we were going to be able to fit it in before the new year. So we've arranged our engagement drinks in January, and it'll be a really nice time to see everybody before the wedding, because it may well be another 12 months or longer till the actual day. So five, again, you can do all these things in your own order, but five is dress. I personally think that the dress is what kind of dictates the whole feel and the mood of the wedding. If you're going for something that's very tailored and traditional, then ideally your wedding's going to be quite traditional rather than something that completely clashes. So your dress should really be what starts off the theme and the feel. So I already, of course, started looking at websites. I actually started on Pinterest, and that's how I found the make that I really like, the designer. So I haven't yet gone to see any, and I will in the new year book up some appointments to go and see some places. And I'm not ruling out either having my wedding dress made for me and designing it. I just thought I would go initially and try some on and get a feel for what shapes suit my body type. But Pinterest is great for that. And just generally Googling, you know, there's just so much out there. So many designers with a whole range of dresses for different budgets. So, you know, don't be freaked out that some of them are thousands of pounds. You can always have a replica made. If you find a design you like, you can. I've had friends that have mishmashed a couple of designs together, so they liked the shoulders, or they liked, you know, the bust section, they liked the waist of another, and they got a designer to kind of piece them all together, which is really cool. So you could do that. But just start getting an idea and thinking about your body shape. Look at, you know, what you already have in your wardrobe. Is there a dress that everybody says you always look amazing in, or you always feel great in? Look at the shape of that and think, what, you know, why does it suit me so well? Why is it so flattering? And try and sort of apply those rules when you're looking for wedding dresses for yourself. 6, okay, probably the most important tip here is set a date. We haven't yet. That's something that we still need to discuss. I've actually got 2 other family weddings next year. My sister got engaged a week or 2 weeks before me, and my dad's getting married as well in the summer. So my fiance and I have to have a bit of a think about whether, you know, 2 family weddings is quite a lot anyway, but 3 in a year, I don't know if that's going to just be too much for everyone. So we still need to chat that over. It's still early days, and we're just kind of enjoying being engaged at the moment. So we will decide on that soon. 7, your budget. This is really important, and by all means start looking at venues and things like that in advance, but until you know sort of what the figure is that you're going to be working towards, you know, that can really curb, I guess, your searches and what you're looking for. So, you know, if you're trying to do something on a shoestring budget, I would just say don't torture yourself by looking at really expensive venues, because it's probably just going to be a bit depressing. Whereas actually with your budget you can make the most amazing wedding. And actually I have to say that the weddings that I enjoyed the most out of all the ones that I've been to over the years, even though I've loved all of them, but the ones that I enjoyed the most were actually the ones that were on more of a shoestring budget. I think people are far more creative and they get family involved, rather than letting venues make a lot of the decisions for you. Think about your budget, and you need to work on breaking that down. So obviously looking at what's going to be on the dress, you know, the groom and any bridesmaids, ushers, page boys, page girls. Maybe you're going to give some money towards the mother of the bride or the mother of the groom, I don't know, the wedding party. And then obviously your venue, transport, accommodation, makeup, hair, catering, booze, the reception venue, the church, if you're getting married in a church. You know, there's a whole host of things to think about. Plus, are you going to add into that budget your honeymoon, you know, if you're going on a honeymoon or a holiday or something? So that's where I think the planner really comes in handy. And the one that I've bought actually has a section that's a whole budget area, so I can go through that in more detail in a future video if you like. So 8, your guest list. This really helps actually with choosing a venue, because I sort of did it the wrong way around. I've already started looking at venues to get an idea, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then obviously you send in inquiries, and they'll say, well, how big is your, you know, wedding party? How big are you know, how many guests are you going to have? And I was like, don't know. So I really had to go back to the drawing board, and even with that, we haven't finalised it. But you want to be able to go back to them and say, oh, it's going to be between 50 and 60 or 100 and 150 or whatever, you know, just so you know whether they actually have the capacity to hold your reception or your wedding where you want it to be. Also, this will really help with you understanding your budget. So for example, some of the venues that I've looked at already give you certain packages you can buy into, where it's however many pounds per head, and that will include, you know, 2 glasses of bubbly on arrival, starter, main and dessert, and I think so many glasses of wine or whatever with the main meal. And then you think, oh, okay, yeah, that's not too bad. And then you times that by like 80 people and you're like, whoa, that's already like 2/3 of my budget. So it's really good to have an idea of the numbers before I think you start really looking at venues, because that will really help you outrule the ones that are just not going to be viable. 10, your wedding party, really important. So talking about your groom's best men or best man, ushers, bridesmaids obviously, or maid of honour if you're having one, page boys, flower girls. So you need to have a think about who you want to ask to be, you know, part of your really special wedding party that day, and start thinking about how maybe you can get them involved in your special day. They're going to feel really important already by you saying, will you be my bridesmaid? Will you be my best man? But also, you know, delegate, share responsibility. You don't have to do everything on your special day. And actually, whilst you're off having your photographs taken, or whilst, you know, you're getting transported from the church, for example, to the main reception, or wherever you're getting married, having a ceremony, you know, you're going to need somebody who's going to tell people where they've got to go next to, or getting them in cabs, or getting them on the transport, making sure people know where they're going. And people like knowing what's happening on a wedding day. I think there's nothing worse than sort of hanging around, not entirely being sure where you're supposed to be. You know, keeping the momentum of the day is really important. And that's definitely something I've noticed from different weddings I've gone to, is having people that kind of direct the main guests and tell them, you know, this is where we're going next, you know, dinner will be served at this time. It just really helps keep structure and also a flow to the evening. Oh, and to add to that, I'll do probably a video on sort of how to ask your bridesmaids if you want them to be your bridesmaids, and sort of gifts for your bridesmaids and maids of honour and things like that. So 11, you need to think about suppliers, so florists, caterers, who's going to provide your booze. Maybe you have a venue that they don't actually provide tables, chairs, linen, china. You need to think about that. Marquees, any, you know, entertainment, your band, your DJ, if you can have one. You might want to have like a photo booth or fun things like that, something entertaining, or hire out giant chess pieces or sports equipment if you're going to have like rounders and cricket. So it's worth checking out local suppliers to the area where you think you're going to get married. But also, you know, if there was a great band at one of your friend's wedding that you loved and you danced all night to, you know, ask them for their details. It's much better to go with a supplier that's been recommended. There's a lot less chance of something going wrong with that. And obviously you need to also think about photographers. Friends are great. People who've been married already are great to recommend photographers, bands, videographers. So, you know, worth thinking about that and drawing up a list and getting recommendations. And number 12, this doesn't always fall to the girl traditionally to organise. Quite often, you know, it's the groom, but your honeymoon, it's worth having a chat about whether you want to be somewhere hot for it, drop some hints, you know, if you want to be in a bikini the entire time, or whether, you know, you're more of an outdoorsy person, you want to be hiking and walking or skiing, or, you know, doing some kind of activity. Maybe you won't have a honeymoon straight after your wedding. Maybe, you know, you've got family over, the cost of the wedding is enough, you're gonna postpone it, or you have children, you need to think about arrangements for them coming on your honeymoon or not. But it's worth having that chat, so you're both clear on your expectations of your idea of your honeymoon and how you're going to unwind after, you know, this amazing life event. But it's also probably going to be fairly stressful and quite tiring as well, you know, emotionally and physically, running around at the last minute trying to get everything ready. Anyway, I hope my 12 tips have been useful, and if you've got any tips or ideas that you want to share, please post them below and get in touch. Otherwise, thanks so much for dropping by, and please subscribe.